Hey guys, I'm Kamri Hosmann. Welcome to my living room. Lovely place to make art. I've got kind of a weird setup going on here, so I'm going to be trying to work up here where you guys can see it. If you do have any questions, please reach out to me. This is one of my favorite activities, so I have a lot of answers, but I don't want to throw all the information in the world at you in this forum because you may not need it, so please reach out to me if you do. I'm going to start off by kind of telling you what supplies we have here, what's optional, what you really need. So to start, I have ceramic tiles with like a smooth finish. They come in a few sizes. You can get them at the hardware store. I might be at Walmart. I got mine at Sutherland's. You're going to need alcohol. So if you're going to be lighting them on fire, like I'll be showing you today, you'll need 91% isopropyl alcohol. It just has obviously a higher concentration of alcohol, burns better, and doesn't leave anything behind. If you're not planning on lighting it on fire, the regular stuff is fine. I know this stuff is really hard to find right now. Luckily, I had some on hand, but you know, for future reference. I'll be showing you some uses for alcohol ink markers. So these are your classic permanent markers. I like super markers. They're really inky. They have a fine tip and a chisel tip, and they're cheaper on average to get a set than a set of Sharpies. They also have more alcohol. They're more inky. So you can do this with Sharpies, but I don't think you get as good a result as if you use sort of an inkier or a chisel tip marker. I also have some regular alcohol inks. These are Pinata Color brand. I don't know, man. I got these on sale for like $15. You can get a set of quite a few colors for like $18. They're kind of small bottles, but they're really pigmented, so you don't have to use a lot when you use them. I think it's worth the investment if you like the process, but it's totally up to you. I know everybody's financial situation also kind of up in the air right now. I have also some droppers for putting the ink on the tiles. I've got some spray bottles. I was already brushing up earlier, so I have some with kind of colored alcohol. That's totally fine. Just make sure you match the color to what you're using, obviously, or you'll get kind of muddied. I also have some palettes. You can do some stuff with brushes with these. The way we're doing it today, anything that you kind of paint on is going to get distorted, so you'll have to be aware of that. I also find that the alcohol inks are hard to wash off without wasting a lot of pigment, so I just kind of keep my palettes color coordinated, so I know if I'm going in to use green, I'll use this one. If I'm going in to use red, this one. And then the extra ink kind of just helps you out. You don't have to add as much of your own. Little money-saving, penny-pinching tip for you. I also have some little, you can't really see these, they're little plastic dots that you put on the bottom of your, let's see if I can get one off. Can you see that? That you can put on the bottom of your tiles so that you can use them as coasters. And you'll also need Mod Podge to seal them. I'm not going to show you how to do that. It's just that when they're completely dry, you cover them with Mod Podge and then the ink won't come back off. Let's get started. So for the therapeutic sort of intervention plan, I have gone ahead and started. I wrote on these with my alcohol ink markers. So I wrote worry, anxiety, pain, and you can't really read it here, but I wrote coronavirus because I'd also like to light that on fire right now. So that's what we're going to do. So there are a couple of ways you can do this. I like to just go ahead and wet everything, and I'm going to use this colored one. So I'll just give it a good spritz, get everything good and wet, and then you can kind of move it around to get the inks to flow, kind of move them into sort of blocks of color. If you move them quickly, they don't drip on you. And we can go ahead and light this on fire. So I can show you what that process is like, and then I can show you a couple of different ways that you can use the alcohol, sort of different techniques to get different finishes, and I have some finished examples here to show you as well. Over there. Let's do some fire, guys. Hope your day's going well. So as you can see, when their color is everywhere, it kind of just pools into the center. You'll want to do this on a tray. You want to do this as safely as possible. Obviously, at different sites, there's going to be different concerns. if you do this often, like right now, the tile's not really hot, it's a little warm. If you're doing it over and over, the tile's going to get hot, so just stay aware of that. So this is kind of what we have now. We've got some smeary color. It's kind of just not very interesting. So what we're going to do is take the dropper and some alcohol. And again, there's a couple of different techniques. I'll show you some finished ones here in a second. But if you just make up little pools of the ink, you can let it run for a minute to move it around, or you can just go ahead and light it up. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I like fire. This feels really cathartic right now. Again, always, always, always be aware of the safety concerns. Make sure you're doing this responsibly. You cannot have any of this stuff, the compressed air, the alcohol, any of the bottles anywhere near that fire. It's so flammable. You want to have a completely clear surface with ridges where the fire's not going to run out of there. If you get a little spill, and I've had this before where there's like ink, just alcohol anywhere around, it will all light on fire when you introduce the fire. So you want to be careful that nobody gets burned. So this is what that kind of did. We've got little pools, and it makes these interesting sort of effects where there's sort of darker areas. And I can post some pictures up also where it's a little clearer. So you can continue to do that, and you can get something sort of like this where there's a lot of spots. Trying to get the glare off. You can go around in a pattern. So in this one, I went around in circles and circles, and I also introduced the brush to that process. Or you can do a lot of tiny dots and fire some and not fire others. You can also, very carefully, when there's a little bit of fire left on the tile, introduce the spray bottle to get sort of this scatter effect, and I'll show you that now. But as you can see, and this is the one we're working on, all those words we wrote down are completely gone, and we've just got some interesting visual stuff here instead. So it is kind of cathartic to watch those things burn away if you're burning away. Anxiety symptoms, depression, things that you want to see disappear. It's really nice for that. But we'll do the spray bottle thing now. So I'm going to make a couple more pools. I don't like to spray the whole thing at this point. We're going to light up those pools, and we've got some interesting just like areas of color, and in person you can really see the fire moving the pigment around. I got distracted because that one was really cool, so we'll spray it here in a second. But as you can see, it just keeps forming more and more pools where it moves the color out and creates a white space, and then you have these really pigmented places where the color goes. So let's do that again because I like fire a little too much and I got distracted. Okay, so this time, while there's still a little fire, you don't want to do it while it's all on fire. From a distance, you can introduce the spray bottle. But I like the way that it creates these little, you can't hardly see them with the glare, these little dapples. So there's just like little tiny pools of color everywhere. And again, I will absolutely post a picture of these. There's also one more technique that you can do. So this is with the pigmented inks. So I'm going to get my dropper ready. I'm just going to introduce some alcohol to the tile with my squirter. Might guess we're going to do some green. So I'm going to take my blue and give us a couple of areas. And I almost kind of draw with the bottles instead of dripping. I like it a little better. It's kind of just a personal thing. Dripping is absolutely okay. I just like to get kind of bigger pools of color without using as much of my precious inks. I'm also going to introduce a little yellow because I want some of that vibrant green in there. Alright, so I'm going to spritz it again to kind of move some of that color around. I know you can't really see it, but you will in a minute. Okay, so we loosened it up. And here's where I'm going to introduce the brush. So I'm just going to wake those colors up and make them spread a little. I'm not trying to paint any specific design because I know that's not going to stay. Okay, and that's something you're going to want to remind your clients of. They can work really hard and make a beautiful painting with the alcohol ink. And if they want to let that just like sit straight up and dry, absolutely you can. If they're going to do anything else to it, it's not going to be that pretty little thing that they just made. So you want to make sure that they know that before they ruin whatever it is they just worked really hard on. I'm going to introduce a couple of little pools just so we get some extra interest here. And I'm going to light that sucker on fire. I always use a long nose lighter. If you can get a grill lighter, that's even better. You don't want your hands anywhere near that, so the longer the nose, the better. You can see as some of the fire stays, some of it goes out. So what we've got is sort of an interesting pool of color, and this is just, I mean, play with it, guys. You can take at this point, if you want, I'm going to take a dark blue. Now that you've got a base of color, you can draw in areas, you can write something on it that you want to disappear again, just introduce some new pigment. You want to be careful not to mix completely different colors because these are alcohol-based markers and you have alcohol ink here. It's going to pick up some of that ink on the edge of your pen. So the next time you go to use this, it might have a little bit of green on the end. Just know what you're doing with your materials. Know that, you know, you're going to have to clean your marker a little bit sometimes. We're going to wet that up again. I'm going to also spray it because I wasn't happy with the way it came out. Oop. So I want more of that pigment to move than just what has the ink on it. You can blow it out, and then you've still got some wet areas to play with. You can kind of move, and I don't know if you can see the ink moving. I'll just ruin this one so you can see the ink walking its way down. Part of this is a kinesthetic experience with the feel of the tile, with the way that the ink moves. It's very fluid. So you can see it kind of washing down the tile. There's a lot, and my favorite thing about this is if you ever mess up, you can totally just get it wet again, light it on fire again. You can wipe it off, you can move it around. These things are not ever done until you put the Mod Podge on them. So you can absolutely change them. So the way this one came out, we've got some of those streaks that I introduced. We've got this big ugly area right here of extra colors. I'm just gonna wet that down, move it around, and light it on fire again. That's the whole process. So part of this activity is kind of learning when to stop when you're happy, because if you keep going, you're going to totally ruin whatever it is you had going for you. But if you stop too soon, maybe you won't be happy. It's kind of finding that balance, and you know, you can kind of use that as a metaphor for a lot of things. I just think this is a really fun activity. The fire, not 100% necessary. I would say if you're not using the fire, introducing the compressed air or something is really fun because it moves that pigment really fast. Again, I'm not going to show you with the noise, but there's plenty of YouTube videos that you can watch where they kind of mute it so that you don't hear that. Just going to do a couple more areas so we can watch some more fire. Because again, I just like it. There we go. I think we're going to be done with this one when the fire goes out. I think that's all I have to show you guys. Again, you'll just, when you're finished with them, you'll cover them with Mod Podge. You can cover the whole bottom of the tiles in felt if you want. I like to use the little dots just because I like the feel of the texture that's on the bottom of the tile. But you don't want to just use these as coasters raw like this. They'll scratch up your coffee table because they're kind of unfinished edges. These are meant to be grouted into the floor. So let's have a look at that finished product. I'm pretty happy with that. And I'll post a picture. That green's not showing up very well on the camera from what I can tell. but it looks really awesome, and I'll put a picture up for you guys. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it's something that you feel like you can use. If you have some alcohol already at home, feel free to try it. Again, it works perfectly on glass. I've done this on the fronts of picture frames before. You just slide a white piece of paper behind it and you've got like a whiteboard now. Just make sure you put the ink side in towards the paper or the marker will take it right off. Other than that, yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with the result. I hope you guys have a good day. I hope you stay safe and healthy and make some art. Bye, guys.